Holy bejesus, I just watched all 10 episodes of Hammer and Bolter back to back to give you the most accurate, the most definitive, the top 10 episodes. It's been a wild ride these first few mini-movies, with each filling in some gaps in your imagination about different races and characters and how they might talk and act and just their general aura. Now, love or hate or somewhere in between its animation style, the important thing to remember is that for the most part, these told some kick-ass stories. So join me as I count from 10 to 1 like a boss. But wait, very quickly, subscribe, do the likey, thanking you. Number 10. Episode 2, Bound for Greatness, can kindly be described as mundane. The scene is the Imperial world of Antioch, and Adept Neith is our protagonist, whose job is the most mind-numbingly boring in the galaxy. Day in, day out, this unfortunate soul has to count the books in the librarium. Not keep them, not restore them, count them. And God help you if you read them, because knowledge is for heretics. I kinda get what they were trying to showcase here. The administrative side of the Imperium isn't sexy, but yeah, this was far too monotonous and repetitive to really draw you in. And the prison Tannoy mantra of counting is your duty really got on my teeth. But where there's a will, there's a demon whispering in your ear. And so, although I didn't get much in the feels from watching Bound for Greatness, fantastic title by the way, it was definitely a good advert for the more indirect ways that chaos does its whole corrupting thing. Number 9, Episode 8, Cadia Stands, is one big trench-line sprint marathon as an Imperial messenger Ewan goes from point A to point B and back again, with a crucial communique and a concise response from the Cadian commander. Now, although Cadia may have fallen, its surviving Imperial Guard remained steadfast and proud. Hence the oft-repeated refrain, Cadia Stands. This felt like a fanboy episode for me, a nod to a pivotal battle in 40k lore where Cadia ultimately fell to Chaos forces. But here their battle-hardened warriors continue the fight, this time against endless tides of Tyranids. I must acknowledge there was a little bit of tension in there, but I was never on the edge of my seat hoping our messenger boy would get to where he needed to be. His escort had some good lines. It was her that educated Ewan in the way of Cadia. It just never really hit the heights of the 2 or 3 episodes that had preceded it. Still, the bar had been set high, and this was still no complete dud. Number 8. Episode 10, Plague Song, sees a Johnny Deathguard champion usurped somewhat unceremoniously by the sorcerer Ephesus. Allowing Rot and Decay to burn was a step too far for this lovable rogue. He's got a better plan, he thinks, and that involves getting funky with space and time and unleashing a plague on basically everyone, unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. And this 20 minutes of my life is the perfect advert for why you should never sign up for Papa Nurgle's motley crew. I would decline respectfully, of course, but how can these gifts of mutation, and I emphasise that word gifts intentionally, be worth the sheer agony, pain and suffering? Plague Song revelled in the downright disgusting nature of Nurglites, and the fact that I watched this during lunch was ill-advised. Man, it was grim. And if that's what you came for, the action delivered in spades. But the overarching tenet of the story was interesting. I couldn't quite warm to the episode though. Number 7. Episode 4, Fangs, brings my sweet Space Wolves to the silver screen. And it doesn't bring no names either. Crom Dragongaze, Ulrich the Slayer and Niall Stormcaller are all here getting moderately drunk safe within the confines of the Fang, whilst 3 aspirants are bloody freezing outside trying to find the biggest, baddest native monster, looking to take themselves a trophy Fang back to their patrons, all in pursuit of joining the ranks of the Wolves of Fenris. I like this episode. I think it did the best it could with its plot. Nothing particularly overarching, just another interesting spotlight on the idiosyncrasies of one of the more individualistic Space Marine chapters. It was great to see 3 key players from the Sons of Rust showing some camaraderie, and it was amusing to me that I painted all 3 of these at the same time in the months prior to sitting down to watch it. Never go full batch paint. Number 6. Episode 5, A Question of Faith, depicts the last stand of 2 sisters of battle, Elena and Agatha, protecting the shrine of St. Josephine against hordes and hordes of Khorne cultists. Running low on ammunition, the odds are against them, despite the lowly 6-up saves of the idiots that wouldn't know cunning if it slapped them in the face. And I must admit I enjoyed this episode, I think because up until this point the on-screen narrators weren't necessarily the main characters, but here all the exposition and the action takes place within the same 4 walls. Yes, there's plenty of the obligatory severed limbs and exploding faces at the end of a bolt gun, but it's the quiet moments that make the episode. The understanding of what makes the Adeptus Sororitas tick. And the finale, much like most of what transpires in the 40k universe, is not your traditional happy ending. But it's a worthy one and a nice payoff. I enjoyed the passing reference to the libraries of Antioch that we'd seen in episode 2 as well. A very tidy episode. Number 5, Episode 6, In the Garden of Ghosts, shines the spotlight on space elves the Eldari, and sees the warlock Iokaris trawling the ruins of his ancestral craft world, seeking the spirit stones of the dead. It's a solemn beginning to the episode, whimsical and melancholic, which is a rarely seen sight in the grimdark. But then as the episode progresses, Iokaris' Exarch warns of the perils of delving too deep into the horrors of the past. I enjoyed the flashback scene where the Exarch proclaims to a Primaris captain during battle, "How proud you must be of your ability to inflict atrocity," only for the response to be a cold, vindictive and calculated rendition of "For the Emperor." It really hit home that there are only shades of grey in the 41st millennium. The Imperium are not the good guys. And this was a bittersweet episode, seeing the fall of the Avatar of Cain and Iokaris' reconnection with his lost mother elevated the quality of the episode right at the last knock-ins. Number 4, Episode 1, Death's Hand, sees Inquisitor Kiyomoro trying very, very hard to tell Destiny to go Donald Duck itself, as one astropath after another doesn't get the hint that the guy just wants to hear that everything's going to be alright. But an Inquisitor that dabbles in divination is playing with fire. But in episode 1 this was a really confident start to the series. All the action taking place on board the Inquisitor's vessel set a tone of foreboding. And when a fellow Inquisitor and his troop joined the fray, the tension really didn't let up till the end. But a word for the pitch-perfect Kaladas assassin. The Officio Assassinorum are a fascinating part of the Imperium, and their sinister and lethal nature was presented very well, and the plot did an excellent job of setting up that final scene and providing the exposition and entrance of the Brother Vindicare. Episode 1 got me thinking, if they're all this enjoyable, I'll be more than satisfied. Number 3, Episode 9, Artifacts, sees a unit of Black Legion Terminators make a one-sided bargain with a dying Necron that may uncover the ability to traverse the Eldari's webways, crossing great distances with less turbulence than the warp provides. A cameo from Ezekiel Abaddon, War Master of the Black Legion, sees him commanding the Termis to the Space Hulk that the Necron waypointed. Upon arrival they meet Drukhari and other foes until they get to what they came for. I absolutely loved the way there's a sense of mystery that pervades the whole running time. You never quite know who to trust and where this is going to go, which makes the ultimate reveal that the quest these Chaos Space Marines have embarked upon was never going to end well, thanks to Trazyn the Infinite pulling the strings, brings a real wow factor to the finale. It was nice to see the Heretic Astartes and the Necrons get their own story, and this one did not disappoint. Number 2, Episode 7, Kill Protocol, is buddy action drama all the way. Except instead of a canine, we have a big hulking Castellan robot as the bodyguard chaperone of a lone tech priest, taking a stroll across orc-infested wastes and seeking to retrieve a sacred piece of technology. The chances of success are slim, but the Mechanicus are of singular mind, and logic dictates they must venture forth. This was a really enjoyable episode. By this point, the action and violence had become a bit monotonous, so the strength needed to come from the plot and characters. And here, with the two protagonists completely devoid of emotion, they still seem full of life. The tech priest values probability and pragmatism above all else, and the Castellan doesn't peep a word outside of some 80s video game effects, but they both feel like fully fleshed out characters. Bravo! This was good stuff. And number 1, episode 3, Old Bailey, aka the Great Commissar Yarek's nickname given to him by the Orcs, is an episode of glorious comic relief. The bulk of the runtime is left to an aging runt herd to educate a couple of green-skinned boys about the need for every orc to have a good enemy. Enter stage right Old Bailey and his game of war-torn back and forth with the great war boss himself, Guzgul Thraka. This was one of the few episodes that really suited the art style of the whole series. Lots of comic book like split screens and washes did a great job of complementing the madcap nature of both the tone of the story and the way Orc society gets their rocks off. The strength of the episode though lies in the odd couple that is Yarek and Guzgul. Nothing alike whatsoever, but begrudgingly respectful of each other. Old Bailey did so much right, and although it differs quite a lot from the rest of the series, this was a great choice to preview Hammer and Bolter as a whole, and just about become my favourite. And that was and is the first 10 Hammer and Bolter episodes in order of awesomeness. Man, that was fun. Did you agree with my list? Have I completely lost my marbles? Please do let a geezer know in the comments. Alas, I have been the voice of Benji, and this video has ended.